Let's jump right in. There's this idea floating around, the say-so paradox.
Hmm.
You've got more data, more telemetry than ever. I mean, your dashboards are just glowing.
Right.
But you actually have less clarity on which threats really matter. You're basically drowning in alerts.
It's the classic signal-to-noise problem, just on a massive scale. And the research we're looking at today from Team T5, it suggests the answer isn't in your logs. It's in the Asia-Pacific region.
Okay, so the whole premise here is that APAC isn't just another target zone. It's more like a global proving ground.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
The tactics that are going to hit networks in the West tomorrow, they're being tested and refined in the East today.
So it's a shift from just, firefighting.
Exactly. Stop swatting at the closest plane. This research is all about adversary-centric intelligence.
Which means you stop focusing on the malware, the bad IP address?
Yeah, and you start focusing on the who. Because if you understand the who, then the why and the how start to make a lot more sense.
Before we dig into the who, let's just set the stage. Why this region? What makes it the perfect laboratory for this stuff?
Well, just the sheer density of it. The IBM X-Force 2024 report found that APAC accounted for 34% of all global incidents.
34%, that's the highest anywhere.
By far. And you have this unique convergence. You've got huge geopolitical flashpoints. The Taiwan Strait, the Korean Peninsula, sitting right on top of the world's most critical supply chains. Think semiconductors.
So you have the motive, which is the political tension, and the opportunity, the high-value tech targets, all in one place.
It's a perfect storm. And the actors in this lab are getting more and more specialized. The research really breaks down 3 distinct ecosystems, starting with the Chinese operators.
Right, and this is where that section on contractor-enabled operations comes in. The iSoon leak was the big reveal there, wasn't it?
Oh, it absolutely was. It pulled the curtain back on the entire structure. We're not just talking about state military units anymore. This is like a gig economy for state-sponsored hacking.
A gig economy.
Yeah. The leak showed private companies literally bidding on government contracts to hack foreign targets or steal intellectual property.
That makes defending against it so much harder. It's modular. If one contractor gets caught,
The state just hires another one. There's no operational downtime. It's incredibly resilient. Now, contrast that with the North Korean model. The research calls it a hybrid threat.
this is where the line between state espionage and just, organized crime completely disappears.
It's gone. They're funding the regime with cybercrime while they're stealing intelligence at the same time. The Mackay Memorial Hospital case is the perfect example.
That case was a CISO's worst nightmare. It wasn't simple ransomware.
Not at all. It was multi-layered extortion. First, they encrypt your data. Then they tell you they've also stolen all your patient records and will release them. They just squeeze the victim from every possible angle.
And then the third piece of the puzzle is the Russian element. They seem to be less about volume in APAC and more surgical.
Strategic disruption, that's their game. And what's interesting is their willingness to partner with local criminal groups. They're essentially franchising their capabilities to get more reach without a heavy investment.
So if you're a CISO, you're looking at this lineup. You've got gig economy state hackers, hybrid crime syndicates, and franchise disruptors. What do? The report brought up something called the diamond model.
Yeah, and that's the antidote to that alert fatigue we started with. The diamond model gets you away from playing whack-a-mole.
So instead of just blocking an IP address,
Which the attacker will change in 5 minutes, right? Instead, you map the event. You connect the adversary, their capability, their infrastructure, and the victim.
you're mapping the attacker's business model, not just the technical evidence.
Exactly. If you know it's a contractor looking for supply chain secrets, your defense is totally different than if it's a ransomware crew looking for cash. You stop treating every red alert as equal. You prioritize based on their intent.
So context becomes the ultimate filter.
In a landscape this noisy, context is the only thing that matters.
All right, so here's the thought to leave everyone with. If APAC truly is the global proving ground where these hybrid contractor-fueled attacks are being perfected as we speak, are your defenses ready for what's happening there today? Or are you still building walls for the threats of 5 years ago?
That's the question that really decides if you stay ahead of the curve
Yeah.
or become another statistic.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.